In the last video we prepared the main body, and in this one we're going to prepare the body flap as well as the top collar. We'll insert the hydration port, and then we'll attach the two with the flat felled seam across the front. The body flap is assembled from two identical panels sewn inside out, as well as the top closure hardware. For the top closure hardware, you want adjustability, but there's various options. You could use a cord lock, you could use side release buckle. For my pack, I'm going to be using a G-hook with 3/4 inch webbing. On the prototype pack, I made an aluminum toggle that hooked through a D-ring, but for this pack, I'm just going to be using readily available materials. So you stitched around the edge, the 1/2 inch, you left the bottom unstitched, and we put a small tack through the webbing within the seam allowance at the top. Later on we'll flip this right side out and we'll attach it to the pack. So now we're going to move on and prepare the top collar. Okay, so let me give you some context for the shape of the top collar, because the pattern piece is probably pretty confusing. Alright, so what I've done is I've laid out the main body panel as well as the back panel as we would attach them. So this is the face side of the back panel and the face side of the front panel of the main body. This is also the face side of the collar. So the very center of the collar, which was the fold line that you cut out, this aligns to the middle of the main body. So as you go from the middle of the main body to get to your left shoulder, you actually are following this side of the pack down to the corner where your seam, where your alignment mark is, and then this arch matches the arch on the back panel. Now I'm right-handed, so I like the hose for the hydration port to be over my right shoulder. So I'm actually going to be attaching inserting the hydration port over the right side of the collar. So before I do the hydration port, I'm going to hem the top of the collar and refer to my more detailed video on the hydration port, but you'll see me insert it here. Okay, so we went ahead and we pinned down the hem, so now I'm going to stitch that, and I'm going to try to make it as straight as possible because this will be visible when your pack is completed. So I've drawn the shape where I want the hydration bladder to be inserted. Here you refer to the detailed video where I show exactly how to do this. The width of this opening was big enough for the hydration bladder. For the flat felled seam, what I've done is I've gone ahead and done a basting stitch within my seam allowance of these three parts just to hold them together. For a flat felled seam, there's tons of resources online to show you exactly how to do these. Right, so the order is main body, collar, body flap. And if you just lay them out like this, they should all be face out relative to each other. So because the center alignment is really what matters here, I actually will start in the middle of the pack and go one direction, and then flip it around, start in the middle again, and go the other direction, just to make sure that the center part of the pack is fully aligned. Okay, so once you've made that stitch, congratulations. That's probably the toughest stitch to make on this entire backpack. The rest of the flat felling goes pretty easy once you have the pack in the shape you need it. So to finish this flat fell, you're going to pull these parts open. You're going to lift the main body over and top stitch as close to the edge as you can all the way around again to finish it off. Okay, so I trimmed and fused a couple of my thread ends just to finish it off. I removed my basting stitch from the center, and along the back we have a really nice clean finished edge. So with the completion of this felled seam, we now have the main body, the collar, and the body flap assembled. But just one note here, right? I realize that this felled seam can be quite difficult. I think this is probably the hardest part of the pack itself. Depending on your skill set, your experience, as well as your tools that you have available, it may just be easier to put this in with a single stitch and then bind the inside of the pack. That's completely fine. But certainly if you want to do it differently, just follow the 3/4 inch seam allowance, trim it, and then bind it. And we're going to move on to the shoulder straps next, which I think will kind of be a fan favorite here. So looking forward to that.